the news magazine, A Current Affair, and anchored local news from coast to coast. He is kind enough to come here and talk to us about all of it. Thanks for coming on the press box, Maury.
Nice to be with you, Brian.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. I think my system is being a little glitchy, so I am not going to be on video for right now, but my name's Skylar Archibald, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen as we have a little presentation that will help get us oriented for the rest of the webinar. We really appreciate you all joining us tonight. A couple of housekeeping things as we proceed. We'd ask that you mute your audio, and that way we can have good quality audio and very little feedback to all of those that are trying to listen. We are recording this, and so we encourage you to keep that in mind. And though the webinar will be available for viewing on the SEPRD YouTube page with a link on our website, probably tomorrow or Monday. Let's see here. This is the second of our 3 webinars, and this one is focused on community input and how that plays a significant role in this process. Last week, we met and discussed the project financing plan, and we heard from Marcus Runkle, the district finance manager, as well as David Olbrecht with Special Districts Association of Oregon Financing Services. This is our community input process, as I shared. And then next Thursday at 7, we will be discussing the strategic plan for the property moving forward. As a reminder, all webinars will be held at 7 p.m. and viewable afterwards, like I said, on the YouTube page. We are not taking public comment at this webinar, but we do want to provide an option for you to share questions and or feedback. And you can do so at any time tonight during the webinar through the email address, which is on your screen, info@sunsetempire.com. We're monitoring that email, and as time and opportunity presents itself after a little bit in just a few minutes, then we'll share those questions with our panel tonight. Our speakers for tonight are all really have been chosen because of their involvement in our community and their perspective in regards to the property, the Broadway Middle School property. We have Wally Hamer, who was an educator, a coach, and is a pickleball enthusiast. We have Carrie and Frank Janik, who are the founders and operators of the Pacific Basketball League. They're educators and coaches as well. We have Andy Klumper, who's a business owner in Seaside, a coach and a volunteer. And then we have 2 representatives from our staff to speak to the property. We have Shelly Owen, our youth programs manager, and Justin Smith, our aquatics and recreation manager. So the first thing that we're going to do is give each of those folks a couple of minutes just to introduce themselves, And then after that, we'll get to questions. So if we can just go in the order on the screen. Wally, if you want to go first, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you. I started teaching over at Broadway Middle School in 1974. And so I could see the pool being built. And in 1977, it opened up. I can't remember exactly when we started using the pool for classes from, as far as the middle school kids coming over. But somebody had a vision. Somebody had an idea about providing an opportunity for people in our community to get exercise. And, for me, I was a beneficiary as far as from a teaching perspective for kids. And I kind of look at the Broadway School, the facility there as being the same thing. And I guess to open up, I just like to say, I think we need a vision. We need people to work together, people to look at things in a positive manner. And that's the way things get done. And we need to look at all sides. There's some good things being asked, good questions being asked about the financial picture. Need to listen. We also need to listen to all the positive things that could happen by purchasing the facility. So I think what I'd really in my heart like to see is just people working together, coming together, looking at what the demands are. Since that pool was built in 1977, the demand has grown so much. The daycare demand, the children recreation, for example, like tumbling, gymnastics, basketball, indoor soccer. There's so many opportunities for kids. There's also a tremendous amount of opportunities for adults for activities. So I guess for me, I look at it, the opportunity is now. Can we try to make it work? The facility is already built. Yeah, there's issues with it. There's issues with every facility, but can we work together to bring about something positive for our community? I look at over the years when I, coached various amount of sports through the high school, I've gone to communities that are just as small as Seaside, and they have unbelievable facilities for their kids, for their adults. And I just hope that we could come together and kind of find a solution to some of these questions that people have, and take a step forward, have a vision for our community, not just one way. We need to be progressive in our attitude and our beliefs, I believe. So that's kind of how I'm going to start tonight. I've been asked to talk about the sport of pickleball, and it started in my mind. I started playing about 2.5 years ago, and one of the things I did is I had the opportunity to go watch a pickleball tournament that was being put on at Broadway School. They were using both gym floors, and so it was awesome. There was 5 total courts, and it was a very, very well-run tournament, and it can be done again. And I'm hoping that people would look at that particular sport because it's a sport that is fun. It's great exercise. It satisfies competitive needs. I still like to compete. I've got a heart for competition, but my body doesn't allow me to do some of the things I would like to do. I'd like to be playing basketball, but I can't do that. So I found pickleball is really fun, and it's very competitive. You can make it as competitive as you want. It's a very social sport. You're lined up. Usually people play doubles, and you're lined up right next to somebody else. So you get to know people. Everyone, no matter what level they're at, what skill level that they're at, can play. It's not a very expensive sport to play, and it's not a thing that you have to really think about as far as the scoring and stuff. So it's kind of, for me, that's good. It's portable, it's mobile. There's so many great health benefits from it. I get my heart rate up every time I play. So I really, really enjoy that sport. I see Broadway as both gym floors as a great opportunity for people in our community. And there's a lot of people in our community that play pickleball. I don't know if people know that, but there's a tremendous amount of people that like to play. And to be honest with you, there's no real indoor facility in our community right now that we can go to and play. So Broadway would fulfill that opportunity for people that want to play. And again, it's a great opportunity to build wellness within our community. For people to get to know others. I since I retired, I've gotten to know so many people through the game of pickleball, people I would have never have met. And that's an important thing for us old people, is to stay social. So yeah, I just really promote this opportunity of purchasing Broadway School. I think it's an awesome thing, but we need to work together as a community. We need to solve this issue, the issues that are there, together and not separate. And so I just promote that as much as I can. So thank you.
Thanks, Wally. I'm gonna actually leave my screen sharing just so I think everybody will have a better chance to see those that are speaking. So next we'll go Carrie and Frank. I don't know if you want to speak individually or kind of collectively, but you're up.
Okay, thanks. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Wally, I agree with you completely. And I'm gonna expand on that a little bit. I actually wrote out my statement this time, so I'm gonna read it, and I'm gonna go first, and then Frank's gonna go after me. I just want to state again my support of this acquisition of Broadway Middle School and of the consistent value it can bring into our community, our kids, and our economy, and therefore positively impact all business owners within Seaside, which is even more needed now that we've been through the year that we've had. In most of the last 27 years of the PBL, I have had 4 constant gyms for use inside Seaside, and those have been the 2 at Seaside High School and the 2 at Broadway Middle School. As the tournaments have exponentially grown over the years, I needed more gym space to play all the teams that wanted in. I first moved into Warrenton using Warrenton High School and Warrenton Grade School. And currently I consistently use 2 gyms at Astoria High School and have started to use Classic Community College on a couple of the biggest tournament weekends. Teams now frequently ask prior to their tournament weekend attendance where they will be playing. We want to know where we should stay. Teams now know that they likely will be playing in Warrenton or Astoria at least part of the time, as I use more gyms outside of Seaside. Outside, I use 5, and inside, I use 4 on the biggest weekends. It has been stated up at the new Seaside School campus that the new school will meet all the needs of the PBL. But no one from up there has ever spoken to me about it or asked my advice on the gyms. I'm not sure how they acquired their information, and there are 4 usable gyms up there, but not 5. So I would have the same amount that I had before. I will use the high school main gym, the high school auxiliary gym, the middle school gym, and the new elementary school gym. But it will not work for me to split either the high school main gym or the middle school gym with a curtain and use the 2 floors each, as the school representative up there is stating. So with that being the case, I will continue to have 4 gyms in Seaside for tournaments, and will continue to use 5 gyms in Warrenton and Astoria, just as I have been doing. The PBL and Seaside basketball tournaments have become premier tournaments in the Northwest that draw over 500 teams from Oregon, Washington, and at times even from Idaho, Alaska, and California. These teams love our little town of Seaside and appreciate the well-organized event. A major part of our success is the size and quality of gyms that we use. The teams especially love and comment on the old style Hoosier gym, that is the older gym at Broadway. So there are so many reasons that I'm excited for SEPRD to purchase Broadway and keep at least parts of it within our community use. First and foremost, the Park District would allow PBL to continue to use the gyms for practices and tournaments. If we have it for tournaments, then we would have 6 gyms in Seaside, and I would have to move north less often, and teams would stay, eat, and shop in Seaside the entire weekend. If we have it for youth practices, then our local youth could always have a consistent quality gym to practice in without getting moved out due to Seaside School games or practices, since they will now be full-time at the new campus, the school district kids, athletes. Additionally, if the PBL has year-round use of Broadway, renting use of Broadway, then I can see expansion of possibly more tournaments into spring, clinics, more summer camps, an outdoor 3-on-3 tournament that could be moved indoors if weather necessitated, and PBL could grow and therefore help our hotels, restaurants, and shops even more. Another reason I see a value of the Park District owning Broadway is just the community use of locker rooms for Seaside High School football games, as they will continue to play on the turf field on Friday nights. Seaside football is a huge community event that locals love to attend. The collaboration that SEPRD can have with PBL and continue to have with Seaside High School are valuable relationships that keep our community strong and working together for the better good of our youth, community, and economy. And I truly hope this purchase goes through and can close in early 2021 as anticipated. So I just agree with the whole community aspect of it.
Hi, I'm Frank Janik. I've spent the last 31 years teaching physical education in the Seaside School District. 15 of those years I taught at Broadway Middle School. Between Broadway Middle School, Seaside High School, Seaside Heights Elementary, and Gearhart Elementary, we had 6 courts. With the closing and selling of Gearhart, the high school and Broadway, we will be reduced down to 4 courts for all the schools, the Park District, and the community to use. Losing 2 courts will make it so much harder for our youth to find a place to practice sports such as basketball and volleyball. Our community has witnessed youth success on the basketball court for years. We recently had a group of high school boys who played in the state championship game 4 years in a row. These boys were able to practice twice a week for 2 hours at a time at Gearhart Elementary School when they were in kindergarten. Then they were able to boost that up to 3 to 4 days a week by the time they were about 3rd grade. If our community loses this space of 2 gyms, then our future youth are not going to have the same opportunities for athletic success. The more often that we can keep kids in the gyms, playing sports and staying active, then the less time they will have to find other things that might not be quite so productive. I see this purchase as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for SEPRD. If purchased, the Park District has the perfect land acquisition that adds to its growing provisions of our community recreation, youth, and child care needs. If not purchased by the Park District at this pivotal time, then it is likely that would be purchased by an out-of-town corporation that doesn't know or care about our small, tight-knit community needs. The structure would be unknown. It could be or it could be a structure developed solely for individual profit and possibly an eyesore at a visible central spot entering our little town. It would be a shame to pass up on such opportunity as this. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie and Frank. And next is Andy. Andy, go ahead.
Yes, I just want to say thank you first and foremost for not only inviting me and being involved in this, but for the true transparency that's taken place. I know that there's been some things that across the board, things can be communicated a little bit more, but at the same time, I just want to say thank you to the Parks and Rec District for communicating the way that they have and the direction of what we're going. Wally spoke a lot about vision, and I hopped on your website and I'm trying to understand the overall vision and of what we're trying to take place here. The vision here is we lead our community toward a healthy and active lifestyle and foster a sense of community through inclusive, sustainable educational and recreational programs. You guys hear the dogs? Sorry, let me, can you open the door? Yeah. Yeah, sorry. I just, oh dear. I want to say thank you for not only providing the vision, but also living through the vision. I have taken part in almost every Parks and Rec activity there is, from my kids being in the preschool to swimming lessons, to swim team, to open swim. I've swam in the morning, to pickleball, to egg hunts, co-ed softball, basketball, and not including all the intergovernmental agreements and the cohesion as a community we've been able to pull together. All these things inclusively have brought about a solid health journey, and I'm very thankful for the direction of where we're going. Location is something that I'm learning over time, and the Broadway Middle School is the most central location. It's a hub for our community. I know a little bit about the power and what can take place in having an athletic hub. I'm from Centralia, Washington, where a friend of mine, Lyle Overbay, has opened up the Hub City recreational facility, which houses 12 basketball courts and indoor softball facilities, batting cages, and everything else. And what it has done in that community has leveraged so many people. It's people not just on the select teams, or not just people putting in extra time in the gym, or people who have to have money in order to get in there, but with the all-inclusive push for the community and the health, you're starting to see people who are on the fringes, people who don't care as much for health, actually participating and being involved. And I don't know of what greater time than 2020 or 2021 that we need a sense of inclusion, community, family, and a sense of us pushing for the sake of our kids. I am quoted, I guess, in the newspaper of saying, hey, the health of the community is hinged on its children, and I will stand next to that 10 out of 10 times. And what I love about it is that our older generation, we all feel that, we all know this, and so we all care for the same things. I would say that there's two sides of this fence. There you have the those in favor and those who are not. And I would say if everything was boiled down and all of the noise was put aside, we all care for the same thing. And that's the sense of community I think that we need to foster. We care deeply for our community. We care deeply for each other. And we need a place to be able to express it. And I think that a central hub, the location, everything, I look forward to seeing friends and family who I haven't seen in a long time come to these basketball tournaments, and we get to then experience more life together. I get to get beat by Wally on the pickleball court. I get to involve myself in all of these community events, and I'm very, very thankful. Now, as a business owner, I'm fairly new at it, but I'm definitely realizing that 2020 is an abnormal year, and a lot of people are getting their butts kicked. And it's really, really, really frustrating to see the overall overarching pain and suffering that a lot of people are experiencing. And I think if we continue to take people down at the knees and not promoting their business and not availing them to things that they're used to, I think PBL has been in existence for over 25 years or so. All of that has very, very positively contributed to our community in a financial gain as business owners. So I don't want to speak for all of them because I haven't had conversation with all of them, but I would venture to say that our community is very, very grateful for this program and what it can do and represent in our community. I'm not saying that's the catch-all, that the acquisition of Broadway Middle School is going to be that, but with the proper plan in place, with the funding, with the way that things are moving forward, I'm very, very grateful to see what this is going to look like in the future. So thank you so much for being involved in my community, and I look forward to contributing positive to yours as well. So thank you, Skylar.
Thank you, Andy. All right, next we have Shelly Owen, who is the Sunset Empire Park and Recreation District's Youth Programs Manager.
There we go. Am I unmuted? Good evening, everybody. Thanks for being here. I am Shelly Owen. I am the Youth Programs Manager. I have been with Sunset Empire since 2015 and am proud and honored to be providing care to the families in our community. I started out in the crazy world of childcare and preschool in California. I ran Tiny Top program through the city of Yorba Linda's Parks and Recs for 17 years. And I proudly served 108 families a year in our preschool program. So coming to Seaside and having our 12 children when I started, which we have grown to 42 in our preschool program, was a big curve, but a great one. So, and here we are tonight. And when I came to Sunset Empire Park and Rec, my philosophy on early childhood was play. And what is our motto? Play, positive life activities for you. So it seemed a amazing collaboration, and it's grown and it's become something more than I ever dreamed of, but I'm honored to be here. A lot of people have talked about childcare and preschool and that we are in a childcare desert. We are, and that is based on numbers that were compiled. A childcare desert, you're considered in one, which Clatsop County is, if you are 33% of your children 0 through 5 have a place to go. Clatsop County has 17%. So we are in dire need of this expansion of our youth program. So I'm excited to move forward with it and hope that it goes through. You know, we are supporting business. When it comes down to it, we're not just supporting these families, we're also supporting the businesses in our community by allowing parents to have a safe place for their children to be, both for preschool and after school. So I look forward to us growing, and thank you for being here tonight.
Thanks, Shelly. Last but certainly not least is Justin Smith, the Aquatics and Recreation Manager.
Bringing up the rear. Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here, and thanks for letting me speak tonight. I'm Justin Smith, the Aquatics and Recreation Manager for the district. I've been working in this field for about 11 years now, mostly in aquatics, but always working closely with recreation, especially around sports. As with swimming and sports, we serve the same kids, essentially. And I've been with the district for the last 5 years. I have to say I'm really excited about this opportunity. A couple of things that really excite me is the fact that the recreation side of things, we are doing a lot of this stuff right now. There's not going to be a lot of increased cost to do these things, but we just do not have the space. We have outgrown facilities, and we cannot continually try to work around the Bob Chisholm schedule. You know, the meeting rooms are really small there. We've maxed out those classes. We just cannot fit anything else in there. We can't add additional classes because we do not have the storage capacity for anything. You know, we have a great facility now, and it looks great, but we can't expand, and the community needs it. The things that I look forward to doing, having dedicated fitness class spaces, being able to have a spin class because we can store bikes somewhere, a step class because we can store the steps somewhere, having a class with Taekwondo, and then being able to actually expand that program to have the equipment. You know, we do have a Taekwondo program, but we have to keep it small because we can't have equipment for the classes. We can only have the skills that we could teach the kids. And that's great, but we need to be able to do more and grow with this community. One thing that I see as a great opportunity would be indoor soccer league. There are kids out on the field all the time. 3-on-3 soccer leagues, drop-in soccer at least a couple of times a night, along with drop-in basketball. You know, the courts are perfect for that. And not only does it keep them active and moving, but it keeps them off the street and safe. You know, I'm a father, and that is my biggest concern with my son growing up is it rains a lot. Nobody can deny how much rain we get here. I just want him to have options to keep him safe, keep him off the street, keep him indoor, and keep him active and healthy. You know, I can't wait to work with Wally. You know, Wally and I have, his grandson is the same age as my son. You know, like I watch him out there playing pickleball outdoor. Gearhart just has some great courts, but there's nothing inside. We need some indoor space. And then the biggest thing is Start Smart Sports. We currently do run them. Well, not in current times, but we do have the Start Smart program, but we have to run it around the school schedule. It's the only space to rent. So when my son was going through it, at 4 years old, he's having to do Start Smart Sports at 6:30 at night. that's just not okay. We need to be able to do it at a respectable time for the kids to be able to have them, again, recreate and be active. Some other things, like I heard Wally say earlier, tumbling class, gymnastics, a volleyball program, all of those things would be great to work in towards. So I just wanted to keep it brief, introduce myself, and yeah, I'm really excited about this program opportunity. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Justin, and thank you to all of our panelists. So the way that we're gonna handle about the next 20-ish minutes is we'll take questions through the email address info@sunsetempire.com. I'm gonna try to facilitate the questions being read, and they might be specifically for one or a couple of the panelists, or they could just be kind of open for any of those that have already introduced themselves to share. And I would encourage you to ask questions to that email address, again, info@sunsetempire.com. And I would encourage our panelists to try to keep their answers, fairly brief, just so we can get to as many questions as possible. The first question I have came in actually a little bit earlier today, and I'll just read it. It says, recently there was a letter published in the Seaside Signal suggesting that currently kids in the Seaside community are not being denied opportunities. Wally and others on the panel that have lived and coached kids in this community for many years, what is your take on this article and the suggestion that kids in this community have enough access to recreation space already?
Want me to answer that?
Yeah, you go ahead, and then if anyone else, I think there's some qualified folks.
Yeah, Frank and Carrie could definitely. But well, I think I shared at the public meeting a couple months ago that I've been coaching my grandson, which some of you guys are there too, Andy and Skylar and stuff, and we have always practiced at Gearhart. And one evening, we were the early practice because it was first and second grade boys, and we had a whole gym full of kids, 30 young ones running around. And I stopped and I was thinking to myself, okay, where are these kids going to practice next year? And so, it just dawned on me, where are these kids going to go? Because then the next group of third and fourth grade boys came in. Then fifth and sixth grade boys came in, and then girls were practicing. And this was all at Gearhart, which we don't have anymore. Mm-hmm. So for me, it just didn't make any sense. And that's why I, got together with Carrie and Frank and some you, Skylar, and stuff last January. And I was asking that question about where are the kids in this community going to practice? And so to me, Broadway is a perfect spot for kids, a place where we could go.
I vaguely understand the article a little bit when it comes to kids and dollars and opportunities. And I kind of just I flipped the page because I didn't hear the common care. The common care is this: at the end of the day, do our kids have opportunities to grow and learn and succeed? And if they do, then fantastic. If they don't, then there's an issue. And I think that there is some sort of cap, is the tone that I was hearing in that article, is that when's enough? When are our taxpayers' dollars going to be allocated towards something else or a different people group? And I question, man, if we don't care for the health of the kids at the point of every need, and giving them the opportunity. We've talked already about all of these places that are going away because of a new acquisition or a new plan of schools. If that's all going away, then really what's it cost here? And so I think it's important that we pay attention to not necessarily the overall kid per dollar per situation. We pay attention to, man, what are our kids doing right now? Our kids are all at home. They're struggling. All of them are struggling, and we need a place, and we need safety. And I think that this is a great avenue that we can travel.
All right, thank you, Wally and Andy. Great responses. Justin, I think this question could be for you, maybe as much as anybody else. We've talked a lot about the recreation programming that might be available at the middle school for youth and for kids. But can you speak to what the district is providing for seniors in our community and how this facility might change what the district is currently offering?
Yeah, we currently offer a few classes, arthritis and Tai Chi kind of fitness classes for older active people. I think a couple of things that could really work is a walking space. I know that we wouldn't have a walking track in there, but it does not mean we can't use the gym as a space to walk and be inside. There are things like chair yoga that I've worked with, been researching with Zoe Manhire and Sharon Chayette, who's two of our fitness instructors currently working mostly in aquatics. And those are another class is yoga, but mostly into meditation so that they can stretch and move better. So those are three things that I have been working with just this week that we've been working on. So those are some of the targets that we're looking at right now with the active older adults.
Thanks, Justin. I think that's an important question since we have a good percentage of our population here that is in that aging adult category. Next question I want to direct probably to Shelly, and it says, you've talked about your providing emergency childcare during this COVID pandemic, and how you've been able to expand some spots to accommodate kids. But what do you anticipate the need for more childcare will be after the pandemic has ended?
Well, that's a great question. I think we've seen the need prior to the pandemic by having wait lists and there not being enough space. Again, going back to that study that, we're in a childcare desert. So I do feel that filling those spots, we currently, before we closed down, we had 42 children in preschool, full day, mostly full day. We capped out because we didn't have any more space. And so having more space will allow us to offer more opportunities for families to have that, that care that they need. There have been several places that have had to close down because of COVID. They haven't been able to support it because people aren't working. And so, it's tough out there, and family, people are relying on their families, and, it'll be great for us to be able to offer that care and that safe place and affordable for families in our community.
Thanks, Shelly. All right, the next question I think is intended for Frank and Carrie. Can you talk about how you think, aside from the bringing of tourism dollars to our town and community, how PBL benefits local kids in our community?
Well, all the kids starting in around grade 4 start playing in tournaments, and the Seaside kids usually have at least one team in every age division and gender. So our kids get to play a ton of games against great competition without having to travel, which is a huge savings for our parents. We don't charge them. So they play for free. There's no charging the kids. So that's just huge, and that has allowed our program to really take off over the years.
And I think I just add what Wally said too about after Gearhart's gone, where are those kids going to practice? I mean, we have all the kids in our community, 1st through 6th grade, that aren't playing any organized school sport, and they need to practice. And now we've had a gym that we primarily practiced at be taken away. So we really need a place for them to practice their sport.
Thank you. We got another question that I think is really interesting. And the question was, how does, if the sale of the middle school were to go to a non, I guess, community interest like SEPRD, and the building were repurposed by that business or even torn down, how would that impact those people that use the field, especially middle school and high school athletes who need that locker room space? And I don't know if any of our panelists can speak to that. I know you all have experience. I don't want to speak on behalf of the school district, but I think that would significantly impact the playing experience at Broadway Field if you didn't have locker room accommodations for those teams. And it's not just football, it's football and soccer, boys and girls soccer, and baseball and softball that all use that field. And so to some extent, I think it'd be a really important benefit for the community to have that locker room space be maintained. Any other thoughts on that topic?
That's freshman boys and freshman girls basketball as well. They'd be, yeah. So yeah, I see it as a huge thing. I always felt like Seaside on the field puts out a class operation. Part of being a class operation is also having locker rooms that are classy and that meet the needs of the teams that come. And so, I mean, I think it's just part of being a class community and providing space for our athletes, our kids to go to at halftime or before the game or after the game. You know, it just means a lot to providing, you know, a class operation.
All right. Next question I think I can throw out to anybody. It's been widely discussed and shared that, you know, that there's some challenges in the building and the current condition and the age of it, especially, are factors that the SEPRD board is considering and trying to gather as much information as possible. In your opinions, do the benefits of having this additional programming activity and recreation space, do they outweigh the concerns and the cost? And why, I guess, just if you can elaborate. And maybe we'll go in reverse order. So Justin and then Shelly, and then to Carrie and Frank and Andy and Wally, some combination.
Honestly, the way I see it, the benefits are endless. The cost is the cost, you know. The cost, it's although it seems scary to get into this, the cost is really minuscule when you think about how big the property is and how much it can impact this community. The benefits are endless, and that's, you know, that's where I lie on this one.
Well, since we are currently using the facility for programming for part of our emergency childcare, looking at all the things that can be done for the youth, you know, there's so many, just even being able to have more room for after school kids, because eventually we're going to go back to normal. I believe that. And having the space for them and the increased preschool and daycare, along with all the recreation. There are so many amazing opportunities right now for our community, you know, and the heart of our community lies in the connections that we have together. And so we need to keep that in mind, that this isn't just for us, it's for everyone. So.
Yeah, there we go. Go ahead.
I taught for 15 years over there, most of the time in the old Gym 1. That gym is amazing. I've only been in a couple other gyms in the entire state that really rate with that gym. So to see that this sold to someone else and they come and tear it down, what a waste. Because they don't build gyms like that anymore. And I would just so hate to see it go.
I'm good.
I know that in the beginning, though, when we were looking at this, Skylar, like 2 years ago, and trying to acquire what would the remedials cost and what would these things, what's required. And I know that there's a hefty dollar amount, hefty being, I've got no idea. I mean, millions of dollars to renovate, get the lead out, the asbestos, and there's a lot of things that are, and we are mindful of this. It's been brought to our attention. I'm still a fairly newbie in this community, but it was when moving the schools all up the hill, a big push was how unsafe and deemed unsafe this building was. I've spent a lot of time in that gym, both as a coach, as a dad, as a substitute teacher, and I love it. And all up until last year, it was full of kids, and it has been full of kids, and it has been a huge blessing to a lot of kids. Future moving, when it comes to renovation and when it comes to doing things in that direction, it is the best location. It is the best opportunity, and is the best plan moving forward. If you look at the whole thing holistically, and if you look at the game plan that SEPRD has in order to financially provide and move forward in this direction, I think it's very imperative that we pay attention to the opportunity that could be lost if we don't jump on this and move it forward. I do want to just bring attention to the fact that there's a lot of conversation, there's a lot of chatter, there's a lot of, well, I got a mailer today, and it's important for us to just pay attention to the fact that there is fear in the purchase of this process. But a lot of this fear is derivative of people who aren't even in that community, who pay tax dollars to that situation. And I don't want to play dirty, but I think it's important for us to realize that the tax dollars and the things that need to move forward in order for this to be most appropriate, we got to pay attention to, and we have to understand that there's a lot of noise. At the end of the day, we love our kids, we love our community, and we want there to be a great leverage point for our community to become healthy again, because it's lacking right now. So let it be. Thank you. If you want, there you go.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking about our legacy, one's legacy, the community's legacy. And with legacy, a positive legacy, there's sacrifice involved. And yeah, in purchasing this facility, there's going to be sacrifice. But, I want the legacy in our community to be a great one. And I think part of that legacy is purchasing this property. And it's the hub, and it's there, it's already built. Yeah, there's some issues, but like I said earlier, we just got to come together to build that legacy. Yeah, we'll have to sacrifice. We have to sacrifice our resources for the benefit of our community.
Okay, we have, I think, enough time for two more questions. A couple of our viewers have asked about how this would impact local businesses, especially those that might be in a marketplace that could potentially compete with SEPRD, I guess, for participants and for users. And I think the suggestion is, other childcare providers, other gyms, fitness facilities, yoga studios, those types of businesses. And I think that's a really great question. And I would say a couple of things about that. One is that we are a community that we estimate that the district serves about 10,000 people. And obviously the population of Seaside is somewhere around 6,000, perhaps a little bit more. And it's my belief that the district, since we're a public taxing agency, has a responsibility to serve as many of those people as we possibly can. And truly, we try to serve all people. We have programs and services and try to appeal to every demographic, the elderly, the young families, the retirees, the children, the young children. We have, we strive to really provide something for everybody. I think that there's enough space in that marketplace for the district to provide some of those services, and also for qualified private providers to provide those services. A lot of people really like those, niche fitness experiences, whether it be a yoga studio or a health club or a gym. They like their preschool provider, but we are trying to provide access to services and programs that really make people well and give those opportunities to everybody, regardless of their demographic or socioeconomic status. And I think that's really important. That's in our mission, and that's what agencies like ours do throughout the state. The fear of us competing in the marketplace, I think it's unfounded, because when you go to other communities, and I'm going to share, that some of them are more populated than ours, but those other communities can successfully support a park and recreation facility, like a gym or a health facility, a fitness complex, and the private entities in those markets can still survive. When we did our research for the 2018 bond, we worked with a recreational planner out of Colorado called Ballard and King Associates, and he did a very thorough report for us that's a public document now. And that report shared that when bonds like the one that we were advocating for in 2018 are passed, and capacity is increased for the Park and Recreation Agency, that actually private facilities in those agency jurisdiction boundaries actually increase their membership. And it's because a lot of people really prefer those experiences that are catered to what they're looking for, and not have to go to kind of a general population experience at a park and recreation facility. So I think that while I can share that those concerns are substantial, and I'd be happy to talk to a business owner and maybe see what we can do to partner with them and help alleviate some of those concerns, I think we really want to provide services for the entire community. And I think there's enough space for all of us to exist and get along well. The last question that I think we have time for, we've all probably heard or maybe carefully followed, and it's been alluded to tonight, the developments with the sale of the Gearhart Elementary site. And I know we might have opinions about that, or perspectives about goods or bads in regards to that transaction. But thinking about how that transaction has played out, or how it seems like it's playing out from your perspective, and I'll share this to all the panel, and maybe we can just go in order, if we remember that order. What would be the consequence to the community if the district, Sunset Empire Park and Recreation District, does not secure Broadway Middle School? So maybe we can go, let's go first to actually Frank and Carrie, and then Wally and Andy, you can go after that.
I'll go first here. If the parks don't buy Broadway, we're going to be down to 4 gyms. For our youth, that means from K through probably 6th grade, it's going to be really hard to get them in any indoor type sports. Our basketball program is going to take a real hit. Volleyball will take quite a hit. Our youth are there's just going to be nowhere for our youth to go spend time like that.
Yeah, I agree. I just, without Gearhart, which was our primary practice place, we need to move somewhere. And Seaside Heights gym, which will now be Pacific Ridge Elementary, that will be available somewhat, but that was already shared with Seaside High School cheer team and dance team. So high school programs are going to be using time after school with that gym. And also, I think over time, Parks and Rec has used that gym for different activities and recreational activities. So you'd be looking at PBL and Parks and Rec and Seaside School District activities all trying to share Pacific Ridge Elementary so something's got to give, and programs are going to be lost totally. Kids are not going to have the opportunity to practice indoors without those 2 Broadway gyms and without Gearhart Elementary. It just be, some things are going to get cut.
Sure. I guess, thinking about that, I just think that across the board, the community will lose. I don't want to, in 5 years, have people say, dang, we should have bought that facility. It's just, I think we need to look at it here and now and come together and solve the issues and not feel bad about losing out. I think that's across the board community people, not, from elderly all the way down to young kids. So I just think it would be heartbreaking for us not to purchase that.
I can only speak from a personal standpoint. I think that with the loss of this opportunity, I've got 4 children who are coming up through the Seaside School District, playing different sports, various sports, involved in different clubs, trying to better themselves. And I, as a dad, try to provide opportunities for them. If we do this, I am going to be at a loss of where we can place them and effectively try and help them and coach them and teach them and lead them into a greater position of health. As a business owner, I've not been in business long enough to gain personally from PBL in this community, but I know so many people that have benefited greatly from this, and that's a piece of this. PBL being involved with BMS and how we're going to take this entire program to the next level. But there's just going to be a huge void and a large tragedy that takes place in already a crippled situation. And our crippled situation is right now we're not even able to be together. Like we're not. I mean, we're on the computer right now. I want to sit across the table from everybody and experience life with one another. And this is the type of situation that can happen when things continue to move forward and we can come together and congregate together and be with one another. We'll be able to see better health take place. And having a central location such as Broadway Middle School, facilitated by the Parks and Rec, we'll be able to see some amazing things take place. And it would be an absolute tragedy if we were not able to move in that direction.
Well, it would be, from a youth program standpoint, devastating, because when I took over my position, we were programming our after school program and our summer camps at what will be Pacific Ridge. And I can't tell you how many times I would get up there and we've been bumped out of the gym or the art room or some other area. And so where do we program the kids? We sit them at a cafeteria table. We're flexible, we're creative, and we could do it, but it doesn't provide what the kids need. We are currently using, Broadway Middle School, and we had the same issue before, but it has been amazing not to have this gym space for the kids every day. They love it. We even have Coach Cam who comes out, who does the Start Smart. He works in youth programs with me and he's done an amazing job. And I feel so fortunate that the children that we do have in emergency childcare have had these opportunities. And, we have looked, Skylar has said, Shelly, look around, see if you can find space for us to rent. And it just hasn't been there. And so to lose this opportunity will be, it will be devastating.
I only caught the very end of the question, but I think I got the gist of what's going on here. From my standpoint, plain and simple, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. We all seen 2 years ago that it's estimated to be $20 million to build onto the pool. $20 million. 2 years ago, it's just going to increase. It's just going to increase. We don't need to do that to this community when we have this perfect opportunity in front of us. Of course, it's not going to be the grandest place in the beginning, but we'll get it there. We'll get it there together as a community. As a resident, as a taxpayer, and as an employee, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I would hate to see it slip by, and who knows what it could become one day.
All right. Well, I appreciate all of our panelists, and I'm going to give you my virtual applause. This is what I do for clapping because it doesn't work that well on Zoom, but Wally and Andy and Carrie and Frank and Justin and Shelly, thank you so much for your insight and your perspective. We really wanted to gather a panel of people that could envision themselves using the middle school and have intimate knowledge of maybe the beneficial aspect of this transaction. I want to just share a little bit more information for those that are still on. We do have the third of our webinar series next Thursday at 7 p.m. And again, that will focus on the strategic planning process that the district will be working on over the next few weeks and months. Additionally, if you'd like to attend the Sunset Empire Park and Recreation District board meeting, that will be on Tuesday, December 15th at 5:15 p.m. It will be a virtual meeting, and information is available on the district website. And the board will be hearing public comment at that meeting. So if you'd like to offer public comment, please come and do so. If you'd like to ask more questions about this, we can be reached at the email address that's was shared earlier, info@sunsetempire.com, or there's lots of other contact information and opportunities available on our website. Again, thank you to all of you for coming. Thank you to our panelists for speaking and sharing their perspectives. And thank you to everybody for making Seaside a great place. Have a great night, and we'll hopefully see you next Thursday. Bye.